Hi, welcome back to another travel video from Gary Rose Travels. Now please hit like and subscribe for more videos, and also visit garyrosetravels.com for all the best budget backpacker advice. Now we were sent another question basically, and this question said, shall I use a tour company when travelling in India? Now, having been to India many times, and sometimes during those trips we have taken tours, sometimes we haven't, sometimes we've looked at the itineraries of tour companies and then decided to do it ourselves. Sometimes it's not been possible and we've needed them. So basically I'm just going to give you a few hints and tips for what we have done. So first of all, what I would say is don't book any tours in India until you actually arrive, because very often as soon as you rock up, no matter where you rock up in India, if you're flying to Calcutta or Chennai or Delhi, you will be hit with a barrage of tour companies and travel agents and travel companies and tour guides and taxis and all manner of people who are just waiting to take your money. Now we don't ever book any tours in advance before we get to India, because we like to check the authenticity of these companies before we invest our money into it, especially being budget backpackers. We like to make sure we're going to get value for money. We like to make sure that they are going to provide the service that they advertise before we part with any cash. Also, if we're heading to a specific location, if we're going to head down to, if we head down to Kerala and we want to take a canoe trip, we want to hire perhaps a houseboat, perhaps you want to hire, we did a wildlife tour on a canoe. We decided not to arrange anything until kind of the last minute. We got down there, we were staying out on the backwaters for a few days, and then we decided to speak to some local guys about what it is we wanted. We sussed out the area where we wanted to go to make sure we'd see what we wanted to see. We made sure we booked it at the right time. We didn't just rock up and decide to go. We did some investigating first, basically, to make sure we were going to go at the time which suited us, make sure we were going to see the wildlife which we wanted to make sure it was, value for money. Basically, we didn't just want to pay out for something just at all, but that's just how we are. It has to be really in our interest to take a tour, basically. Now if you're on perhaps you're tight for time but you've got plenty of money, and you want to see a bit more of India, perhaps you want to travel around as much as you can in your few weeks that you're there, you can of course hire a driver. Again, arrange this when you get to India. Arrange it if you're starting in Delhi and you want to do like a 3-week tour of Delhi and Rajasthan. This is fantastic use of your time, and of course you can hire a driver to get round quickly, but just make sure that they're not knocking you. Try and read some reviews on TripAdvisor. Try not to just go with the first ones who sell you it, because it might not be the best one. So basically do some research first. Make sure that you are going to the places you exactly want to see. Don't just say okay without researching all the sites that you want to go to, because you might go to something which isn't really not really for you. Now when we head up to the Himalaya, sometimes we'll pay out for a private jeep. This is quite expensive. However, we do this because we like to stop on the way for photography. This is the main reason we do it. Now we've done the same route on public bus, and obviously you can't stop for photography on public bus, so that's why we take a jeep. It is really expensive. It's about £100 for 2 people for like 2 days. So if you're a budget backpacker, it's really expensive, but you can find other people to share with. Again, we arrange this when we get into Ladakh, into Leh. We arrange it from Leh. We never book in advance. We would never book a jeep for Ladakh in Delhi. We would never book a houseboat for Alipay in Delhi. We would never book anything in Darjeeling from Calcutta. Do you see what I mean? Always wait until the last minute, until you're actually in the area, because if not, you end up getting taken, you can end up getting taken advantage of, basically, and they'll take your money without actually providing a service, or it might be not a very good service. As a general rule, we tend not to use tour and travel agents. We like to do it ourselves. but there are plenty of opportunities where this can be really useful. Also, if you're travelling perhaps as a solo traveller, or perhaps it's your first time in India, it can be quite comforting to take an organised tour, or perhaps you can join up with other backpackers who are taking the tour, and again this is great for splitting costs and also for meeting people, so they're not always a bad thing. So yeah, and there's loads and loads of travel companies in India to choose from. So pick one that really suits you and do your research first instead of just signing up for something. Actually, one of the times we always take a tour, and you absolutely need a tour guide, is when you're heading out into the desert in Rajasthan. And one of the best companies that we use is from Hotel Desert. Our good friend who runs that place, he's absolutely amazing, and his travel tours and his trips in the desert, you absolutely need him and his guides and his camels, and it's amazing. So if you're heading into Jaisalmer, Hotel Desert, because he will run a fantastic tour for you. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope this has answered your question on tours and travels in India.